Julia is on. Abby is on. So we have Matthew, Riley. Emily is the one that's going to be absent. And then up Antonio. Oh, Michaela is my other one. Okay. All right. I see Matthew. All right. So we're just waiting on Riley and Michaela. I appreciate you guys being able to join me over your vacation, sort of. But I just like, you know, the way the term ended and then all of a sudden, you know, it's Christmas break and you guys start back up on Monday. I kind of wanted to touch bases and go over some things with you, especially for, I mean, I know Mitchell and Michaela, when she jumps on, are familiar with everything. But this is going to be an awesome one because we all are starting on the same date. Yay. Unlike last semester, Mitchell, right?
That was
I think everybody had different dates.
hectic, to say the least.
Okay, so we'll give everybody, I think it's 5-2. I'm squinting. Yep, so we got about 5 minutes. Hi, Matthew, how are you? Good?
We're starting on, right?
I can't hear you very well.
Is this better?
Mm-hmm.
So you say that we're starting on the 4th, but
Yep.
I know my district, these aren't coming back until the.
Yeah, that's okay. When you guys start, which you said you're starting on the 4th, but the kids aren't coming back for, is that what you're meaning?
Yeah.
Okay, that counts as like week 1 because you're going to be there doing whatever the teachers are doing.
Okay.
So January 4th, that's the beginning of week 1.
Mhm.
Okay. Up I see Riley and just Michaela. So she's got a couple minutes. We'll see. So, hey, Mitchell, Bridget got a job in Holt.
Did she? That's awesome.
Yes, I'm excited because I tried getting somebody around here, one of you guys placed in Holt, and the principal wasn't taking anybody, but he said, hey, do you happen to have any current math candidates from the fall? And I said, yes, I do.
That's
And
awesome.
so she got the interview and she just texted me today and said she got the position. So it's pretty exciting for her.
Good for her. That's
Yep.
awesome. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Starting the real world online.
Yeah.
Hi, Antonia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hi, Riley. And I can see Abby now. All right, we got Julia waiting and Michaela. I'm not quite sure. I can send her a text to see, because I think I have her in my phone. All right, I want to make sure this is her, so I might do a text this way. Hang on 1 second. Okay. All right, I'm all set. Oh, there's Michaela. Oh, Michaela, I just sent you a note. How are you? And you're not late. Actually, you still have 3 minutes. You guys are all excited, getting ready? Did you all have a nice Christmas?
Yeah.
Anyone want to share anything exciting about it or different about it? Pretend that like you're my classroom. So all of you guys will have this experience when you're talking with your students online. You'll ask them questions and then they just sit there. So, right, Mitchell?
Yes. I had a Zoom
Go ahead.
I just said I had
Michaela, I know.
calls and stuff, so.
Okay. Michaela, you had kids talk because those second graders were like really into it. I don't know what happens once they get past that second, third, fourth grade level. So they just don't want to show their faces, and they don't want to talk. So that I can tell you one thing for especially my secondary, that is going to be one thing that I'm constantly saying to you is what could you do? What tricks could you do to get those kids engaged? How can you get them to actively participate? You know, and I know some of them will, unless there's a rule in the district, which a lot of districts aren't really pushing the rule about faces on the screen. I think Hazlitt actually is pushing that. Who did I put in Hazlitt? I think Antonio, you're in Hazlitt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think Hazlitt, that's one of their rules. They have to be on screen, but everybody else, it's kind of hit and miss. And I know Mitchell, that he went online the last few weeks because they were live almost the entire semester in the classroom. But still, even though that little bit of time, you guys were pushing them, but they didn't want to be on. So that's one thing it's almost, I mean, I'm like, trying to think of ways to continue to help you guys push those students and get them excited. You just kind of have to, I don't want to say make it more entertaining, but you have to make them want to come to class and want to be there and want to share. So whatever, there's all sorts of different games. I'm sure one thing with you guys though is that you're lucky is all of your host teachers have been doing this for half a year. Whereas my fall ones, like Michaela and Mitchell, well, not Mitchell, because you were live, so I'm kind of ignoring you right now. But in the fall, it was like it was all brand new. And then trying to figure things out, they were working out the bugs of all the technology pieces and all that. So if you're going to come into this, situation where you have to teach online, you guys are in the better scenario than the fall students were, because the kids have already they know what to do, they know the routines, and your teacher will not be so stressed trying things out for the very first time too. So you're lucky. If I can say, and Mitchell and Michaela know me, I'm somebody who tries to be super, super positive, and this is our situation. You got to make the best of it. That's it. And be the best that you can be. And, think about, gosh, at the end of this semester, how do I want these kids in my cooperating teacher and the principal, how do I want them to be able to remember and see me how I was? So you just got to knock their socks off, go over and above whatever you can do. So, all right, so my meeting today, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to share some screen stuff with you. I kind of came up with some dates. So let me do my screen share. Hang on one second. Hey, look, my dog just came in, sorry. I think if I do this one, maybe. All right, hang on, if I can go. Can you see that? Yes, okay, you're gonna have to say yes, because I can't, the only person's face right now that I see is Antonia's. So, okay, so for today, we're gonna talk about sort of a documentation notebook, little bit. Handouts, obviously, I'm not gonna hand anything out to you, but just kind of an idea, a way of the things that you need to be keeping track of throughout your whole student teaching. I'm gonna talk to you about Go React. I think where you guys sent a link this is where someone's gonna have to speak up. Where you guys sent a link on how to use Go React? Yes, say you can actually can you do a chat thing or a thumbs up, or how many of you, let's see, how many of you are familiar, other than Michaela and Mitchell, how many of you are not familiar with Go React?
I haven't used it before, but I think they did send us a link.
Okay.
I just haven't looked at it yet.
Okay,
But I'm pretty sure when they sent student teaching stuff, they did, but I could be wrong.
okay.
Yeah,
You're gonna get to know it. Anybody, Matthew, have you used it?
Yeah, I haven't used it either.
Oh.
I'm looking at old emails, looking for some kind of link right now.
Okay, Abigail, do you go by Abigail or Abby?
Abby's fine.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. Yeah, that's what I typically go by. So Abby's great.
Is it ABBY?
ABBEY.
EY, okay. So if I send you an email, I'll know. And Matthew, Matthew, do you go by Matthew or Matt?
Usually Matt.
Okay, cool. And Riley, are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I was the one that talked first.
Okay, good. Oh, you did. That's right. Sorry. Julia, are you familiar with it?
Not really, but if they send an email, like I catch on to that stuff pretty quick. So.
Okay, good, good. And Michaela, I know you. What about you, Antonia?
I'm not familiar with it, but I did see what they sent out for us to.
Okay. Yeah, and when it gets to time to use it, you guys can always give me a call and I mean, it looks different on my end than your end, but it is pretty simple. I think my last group, they were able to do things easily. And I do know, like in past years too, before this all changed this way, you were, like all the students were required to do 2 lessons and upload them into Go React. There would be 4 face-to-face lessons, and then there would be 2 Go React ones, because I'm going to explain why it's so important in a few minutes. Anyway, then I'm going to give you I'm sure you guys have seen the lesson plan and template. I will explain that on certain parts because you have to turn lesson plans into me. I think at CMU, I don't know if it says a day before. I would truly appreciate when you have an observation scheduled that you send your lesson plans at least 2 days in advance, because if you send it to me like the night before, I may not see it. So I'd like to, with lesson plans, kind of make sure that those are done, kind of done in advance. And I will send this to you guys as well, this whole sheet. Expectations during when you're doing your observations. And then one other thing is, as far as where it says visiting 2 other classrooms, that's where you can, if you do go back, which some of you might be going back before the end of the semester, I think the 29th of April is your last day, which is a Thursday. You are welcome to go that Friday too, if you like. Just because it seems to be, weird that you're ending your week on a Thursday, versus Friday. But just even if you're doing it virtually, going and seeing other classrooms and how those teachers kind of work things and what their management styles or things like that. Okay. Then January 18th, this meeting, most of our meetings are going to be Mondays at 5 o'clock. Because I know some, like my elementary, you guys don't get out until like 3:40 or maybe even 4 o'clock. So all my meetings are going to be Mondays at 5, except on the 18th, it is going to be at 4 o'clock. And I do have that on another sheet to show you. Erica O'Toole, she's from CMU Placement Services. She's going to be doing a presentation with you. Okay. And so I'm not going to go through each one of these things, but these are just some of the topics we will be discussing. And as I said, I'm going to send you guys all the attachments, or I'm going to try to show you, create a folder in like a team group. So you guys will have access to these at any time too. Okay. So I'm learning new things as I go. So I'm getting rid of that one. So this next one is really kind of important for you guys. It's sort of like your schedule of how things are going to go. So CMU uses 2 different platforms for turning in assignments. One is TaskStream and the other is Go React. Go React, whenever you have a video to turn in, an observation, and you'll have 6 of them to do, they have to be uploaded into Go React. Okay. In TaskStream, that is where you will have these weekly reflections that you're going to do. And I'm pretty sure that they're changed a little bit from the fall. I think that they're, you know, it used to be where you would do there's just a few little questions to reflect on, and then you would have to share it with your host teacher, and your host teacher would have to sign off on it. This marking period, your host teacher, you can share it with them by, you know, if they want to see it, just say, hey, these are my reflections for the week. These are some things that I want to start working on. This is an area that, you know, I feel that I'm doing really well, but I want to up it to this next game or whatever. You can share it with them, but you don't have to. Once you do your reflection, you submit it to TaskStream, and then I am able to see it and check it off for you. Okay, I don't evaluate these. All right, it's just like should take you, Mitchell and Michaela, how long did it take you to do your weekly reflections?
I would usually do it in the morning before school, and it took like 10 minutes at most.
Okay, and
Yeah,
you, go ahead, Mitchell.
prep hour. No, it's fine. I usually did it during a prep hour, so yeah, it never took longer than 20 minutes. So.
Okay, and what it is, it's like when you guys do these, you have to think about, let's say, January 4th is your first day, even if you don't have kids that week, which I think Matt said he might not have kids that week. Even if you don't, you still can reflect on what are some things that you did that week. What are some PDs that you went through? What are some things you learned about the school, whatever. And at the end of the week, so you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, part of Monday. And if you notice up at the top, I want all of these submitted to TaskStream no later than 5 o'clock on Mondays. I don't want to have to like send you a little note reminders. Okay, it's you have to think about, okay, I'm a teacher. You are a teacher. You have due dates. So if your principal asks you to get something in, you're not going to say, oh, can I get one more day? Or oops, I forgot to do that. So think, not that I'm like super like, I kind of want you to make sure that you just get in the habit of getting things in on time. So as I said, you'll have Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, most of Monday to get that in. So I think that's plenty of opportunities to get something done that's going to take you no more than 15 minutes. Okay. The next thing and there's actually, when you guys get to 12, your 12th week, if I feel that, and this is my choice, if I feel that you're doing really, really well, I can say, you know what, you don't have to do 13, 14, 15, and 16 anymore. So there's a motivation. If you're somebody who's consistently late on turning these in, expect to do 13, 14, 15, and 16. All right. Does anyone have any questions about the weekly reflections? Okay, go React. I'm gonna, that's just where you're gonna upload your observations. You have to record your lessons into, like, you record it with whatever program. It could be, you know, through iMovie, well, or just Mitchell and Michaela, how did you guys just recorded it from, Mitchell, you used your phone, correct?
Yep, in class I used an iPad and my phone, just kind of switched off, and then for online I used we just recorded through Zoom. So if like your school uses Zoom, you can record it through that. I don't know about WebEx or Google.
Yeah, Google Classroom is another one. Michaela, what did you guys do it through when you recorded?
We used Google Meets, and it just records like the person who speaks and talks. It was a little different than other ones, but it worked.
All right, so whatever your lesson is, you're gonna record it from start to finish. They should be, you should have them 30 to 45 minutes long. I know if I don't think I have any preschool, I think my lowest grade level is 4th grade. So, and I know 4th graders, especially if it's online learning, having them sit still for that long period of time can be a little bit much maybe, but understand this is like start to finish, like a lesson that you're going to be doing. When you upload it, the other thing that there's that paperclip thing where you can put attachments. Even though you send me excuse me, I gotta get some water. Even though you send me your lesson plan a couple days in advance so I can look over them, I need you to upload it to GoReact also. So you have to attach your plans. If you had any activity sheets like questions or anything, graphic organizers, whatever, attaching those would be helpful. If you have chats transcripts, so like if you are in, Google Meet or you're doing Zoom, and some people like to chat stuff on the side, taking screenshots, or if there's ways to copy and paste, I need to see those chats too, because if you're just talking mostly on that lesson and you have a couple kids responding orally, but then the rest, especially middle school, high school, the rest of them are like not wanting to talk and they want to chat their responses, and I don't see that, I will think, okay, you're not having a whole lot of interaction with your kids. So I need to be able to see all that as well. So make sure all of those things are attached. The other thing that I am going to say about GoReact, which is super beneficial to do, when you upload your video, before you say, hey, Mrs. Cecil, my video's up and all set to go back and watch it. It's pretty eye-opening. Would you say, Michaela and Mitchell? It's pretty eye-opening watching yourself teach?
Yeah, I think you notice
Yes.
goofy things usually.
You will find things that you're really good at. You'll find things like, oh my gosh, I say too many times, or I had a student one time, they're like playing with their pencil the entire time. And even though maybe the kids couldn't see it, if their administrator had walked in and they just see them kind of tossing and playing around with something, you don't want that to happen. If you get to a point and you're watching like, oh my gosh, this would have been the perfect opportunity to ask that question to get those kids at a higher level of thinking. So going, and you can actually with GoReact, while you're watching and you notice something, you can annotate. You just start typing and it will stop the video and you can write a comment on what you noticed. It's really important to do that. Is it a requirement? No. Do I think it's incredibly beneficial? Yes. So if you don't watch yourself teach, then you're missing out on some things, because you can really learn and grow from that. Now, in Task Stream, where you put your weekly reflections, there is a section in Task Stream that says observations. You are not putting your observations into Task Stream. You are only putting them in GoReact. Task Stream is if I actually came into your classroom and watched you teach. Even if you go back live with the kids, like I know Mitchell was live for most of the fall semester, he still had to put his things into GoReact because of the phase that his district was in. I can only come to the schools if they are at that phase 5 or 6, which I hear they changed them to letters, so whatever it is now. But if I am not in person, face to face in your classroom watching you guys teach, it is in GoReact. And at this point, you are all GoReact. If something, and I pray for it, changes dramatically and you guys go back in and I go into the classroom, which is what I really prefer, then you'll just do your observations and upload them to Task Stream. Okay, does everybody understand that? I left these blank for the 6 observation dates, so this could be just your record of writing down, okay, my first one's going to be here, my second one's going to be here, and so on. The next part, you guys have two of these disposition evaluations. They're kind of like professionalism checks. This is the thing that I know they changed. They're going to give you a couple different options of things to do for your dispositions. I have not seen them yet. I think they're still working on them. You're going to begin around the February 1st on yours. As soon as you are done, you have to let your host teacher know. So you're going to put the date that you did it. You let your host teacher know, and then they reflect on it and sign off on it. And then you'll have another one that you have to do on the 22nd of March. You do that disposition check. I think it was March. Yeah, that's what CMU has on their schedule. So you do it again that time. So this is like almost a month and a little over a month and a half later. You're checking to see, like, it's a lot of professionalism stuff. What are you doing as far as, you know, the way, are you taking critique well? Are you asking questions when you need to? How are you professionally as far as the way you speak with the kids, with other adults or whatever? So that's what the disposition checks are all about. Those are also done in task stream. So there'll be 2 of those. You will, on March 1st is about your halfway point. There's a mid-progress evaluation. You complete this in task stream. Once again, like the dispositions, you start it at this date, you get it all done, and then you let your host teacher know. They have to do it, and they submit it to task stream, and then I do mine. So you'll have your mid one. The final is going to be, you guys started on this date. At the very end, the week before you guys are done, you'll have these links that are sent to you. There's an MDE survey, teacher belief survey, and a questionnaire for when you graduate. Except, Abby, you're doing fall, right?
Yep, yeah, I've got special ed in the fall.
Okay, so you will not do the graduation questionnaire when that time comes, and I'll keep you updated on that. Okay. This is where I had mentioned on the other thing, documentation notebook. I would just keep a notebook, like with some folders or whatever, or if it's an online notebook, however you do it, with lesson plans that you may have. If you have any communication with students or parents, or you probably want to send a letter of introduction to the parents. If you have any communication with the counselor, if you do any newsletters, any phone calls or things, dates or whatever that you have to have any form of communication. Could be when you have conferences, just keep track of all the things that you do. Classroom events, if somehow someone gets in a fight, which online is kind of hard, or if there's somebody like one of my students from this past fall, but it went to another because I work for another university as well. There was some sort of incident that happened on screen that was very inappropriate, that they had to kind of get the parents involved and so I'm not going to share what it was, but it was pretty intense. And so if anything happens while you're online, you hear something, you see something, whatever, make sure you're keeping track of that. Okay. Also, if the school for some reason has like an open house that you can go to, that would be like events, anything that you've done that goes with your classes. Resources, it's always great I know this fall, oh my gosh, we were sharing so many ideas of different learning platforms to try to keep the kids engaged in different things. So like websites, learning, like virtual learning platforms. If there's any great texts that you use or books, publications, anything that you think, gosh, down the road, I really want to be able to use that again in my own classroom, make sure you're just recording it somewhere. Don't just kind of rely on just doing your daily lesson plans and the things for me. Try to make sure you're keeping track of other things too. This is not, even though this says include minimally, you should do 4 of these sections. This is on your own. This is where it's going to be something that's helpful for you for the future, but I'm not going to be checking it. Okay. Now this is where I have it broken down into weeks. If you're going to do kind of, this could be with part of your weekly reflection. Have you guys been to, how many of you have, well, I know you all met your teachers. You really couldn't go to your schools though, could you? Other than Mitchell.
I went to my school.
Who's that?
which is Howell.
Oh, okay.
Riley.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
went.
Good.
Yeah, I visited my teacher at school.
All right. They used to in the past have these forms that you all were supposed to fill out, like know your school and all this stuff. But you should know your school, know like what their hours are, any things that they celebrate, what their team mascot, whatever. But that's just for your own thing. So I wouldn't worry too much. If you want to just kind of put a line through these two things, that's fine. By the first week, you can send me sort of a schedule of what your week looks like, and just you can go by, copy your teacher's schedule of, okay, this hour we do this hour we do that, or however they do it. Just kind of give me a general schedule. I know in the fall those things changed a lot just due to going from totally virtual to hybrid to back to virtual to, so this was changing nonstop, and it may this fall or it may this time too, but just kind of give me an idea of what your schedule looks like. Make sure that you mark off any PD meetings. If the school has a PD meeting and your teacher goes, you go too, okay? And then you can just list down what is your first day with your kids. How many of you have kids, or how many of you, tell me if you do not have kids on the 4th other than Matt? Everybody has them except for Matt. Okay, cool. So these are just some things to be looking at. Also, you're going to be mostly just observing that first week of school with your teachers. Okay, just watching what they're doing. If they, by the end of the week, if they want you to, take the attendance online or do little things, go for it. Do as much as you can do. The next one is weeks 2 and 3. As far as this release, I think most districts already have a blanket thing that the students share, especially since everybody is online. So I would just double check with your teacher because I have to record, did all the students, do they have permission from their parents to be recorded? I do know I had a couple classes where I think they were my preschool and one of my kindergarten classes. The parents did not want their kids online. And so when it came to doing where you would record and I would see all the faces, they would just tell that child to, take their, undo their video. So you would just see the name and you wouldn't see their face. So there's different ways you can get around that. The observation number 1 is going to be somewhere in the 3rd week. So in between these dates is your observation 1. So remember, I would love to have your lesson plan with the format that I will attach at least 2 days prior to the lesson. All right. And then you also, as I said, upload those into Go React. Optional that week, if you want to start subbing, you have to, I think it's this big, long process now to be a substitute teacher. If you want to be able to sub, you have to sign up, but you have to get a permission slip and it has to be signed by your host teacher, the administrator, and then you send me a copy of it. Like you could do a screenshot, scan it and send it to me, and then I sign it and send it to CMU. You are only able to sub for your cooperating teacher the first 5 weeks of school. You cannot sub in any other classrooms. After that, you can sub within your own building. You can't go to other schools. You can sub in other classrooms, but understand you don't want to do too many of, I think you can, there's a total number. I have to go see what the total number of, Michaela or Mitchell, do you happen to remember?
I believe you can sub a total of 15 times, and I think it can be 10 outside of your host teacher's room, something like that.
Okay. Okay, but it's in your own building, so up to 15. Yeah. Okay, that's right, because you did that one part, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I knew somebody knew that. So anyway, that's, if you don't want to sub, don't worry about that. But if you do, you have to get that form into me. And as I said, there is a lot of paperwork to get into the subsystem. During week 4 and 5, this is where you're going to be doing a couple different things. I'm going to go like this. Hang on. Oh, I can't. I took off edit. That's all right. Edit. Hang on. Edit. I want to move that down if it needs to be. It might not need to on this one. Okay, so in weeks 4 and 5, you'll do your second observation. It's going to be during this week. Once again, make sure that it is, I can put in here, uploaded to Go React. Okay, lesson plans a couple days in advance. And then, can you guys hear me? Because I just had like this sort of a warning come up that I have a bad connection.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. Okay. Also, remember at the very top, there was the thing about your disposition starting here 2-1. So right here, it says your disposition because that is February 1st. Disposition should be completed. It says by week 6, but you actually have to get it started on that. Your CT or your CT cooperating teacher has to have her part done like within a week after you get yours done. Okay, so you started on, which I'll probably add that to this. So disposition 1, I'm going to add that like to make sure you start more detail down here. You started on the 1st and your teacher has to start it within a week of you doing yours. Then I'm trying to think what else. There, oh, it goes with that. Okay, oh, here it is. That is CT to be completed by week 6. Okay, so week 6 through 8. It's all of these days, so 2/8 through 2/26. The week of February 15th through the 19th, that's going to be your observation 3. You also will begin your mid-progress by March 1st, and it needs to be completed by the 12th so your CT can access it. Actually, it should be completed before that because your CT has to have it in by the 12th. So I'm going to say that this date, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I'm going to say it should be by the 6th. Okay, so your CT can have it in, like have a week to get theirs done. All right, then weeks 9 and 10, these dates is going to be your observation 4, March 1st through the 5th. And then observation 5 is going to be during March 15th through the 19th. You will have your second disposition, and then your CT does the disposition. Now, this week 13, 14, and it kind of goes around. This is going to be the weird one where you plan your 6th lesson because this is towards the beginning of April. And I don't know as far as districts, I hear some are not doing spring break, some are doing spring break. So just make sure that your 6th observation is pretty much done by the 16th. Okay. So and this is where you're going to be starting your final eval around this time. And then these are all due for you guys, the teacher belief survey, MDE survey, graduation, and there's also an opinion survey too. So the last thing which we're gonna talk about on the 18th is resume, cover letter, and reference stuff. So you guys are gonna be beginning to work on those anytime you want. Because you don't want to wait till right when you're all done and say, oh, I need to work on my resume, a cover. You want to be ready to go because springtime is when districts are going to be looking to hire for the fall. So you want to have everything complete and ready to go. Okay, so did anyone have any questions about that checklist? Is it easy to follow or hard to follow? Tell me if it's confusing.
like it. It's very organized and it seems like it would be easy to follow.
Okay, good. I know the fall we did it sort of differently because our dates were all different. So I couldn't really have something like that. So it was more like a bulleted list of, okay, you should be doing this about this time. So yeah, we had like a 3-week kind of difference between start times for student or for you guys or for the teacher. So I'm glad that one, I'm going to keep that open because I'm going to work on it still. All right. Are you guys familiar with this lesson plan format? Have you used it in anything?
I am not.
You have not. Okay.
I haven't either.
All right. So, and I think Mitchell and Michaela, do you have to do this for your summit? Use this for your seminar too, or do you do something different?
This is the one they give us in seminar.
Okay, so you guys will really be getting to know this thing, okay? This is what you turn into me. Now, in your classroom, if you're doing just, lesson plans and it's not for an observation, you don't have to use this unless you really want to. You can do what your host teacher uses. I mean, I still remember my student teaching, the things that I had to turn into. I went to MSU, so the plans were so detailed and long that I had to turn into MSU. But when it was just like daily things that I had to plan, I had like a little box and a plan book. So that's kind of, but for things that need to be turned in, when you guys do your Go React or send the lesson plans, this is the format that I need you to do. Okay, so obviously your name, what grade level, the date that you're doing your lesson, subject of what the title is. So this is where you're describing your students, culture, disabilities, social emotional needs, so on. If you have any ELL learners, any gifted, and describe what accommodations you're going to make for those kids. Okay. The next one is differentiating the instruction for different groups of kids, like for those that need to be challenged as well as those that are struggling. So those kids that are struggling, what would be, in elementary school, I know when I did math, if I had a student that was struggling in math and let's say that they had to do, overall the whole class had like 15 problems to do, I might have them do half of the problems or something like that. So you could say I lessen the work, or I give them the opportunity to draw or talk to me verbally if they're not a good writer, or if they're an English language learner. There's different things that you can do. So just kind of jot down what you would do with those kids, and even the ones that are at those higher levels, if they get done early or there's somebody that is just amazingly good, what are some extra, I don't want to say like give them extra work, but what are some other things you can do to challenge them? For the classroom management, what are some techniques are you going to use? Are you going to use like 3, 2, 1, eyes on, or like 3, 2, 1, I need your attention? I would say give me 5. So they would all give me 5 and then I count down, and by the time I get to 1, all their eyes need to be my way. Just may I have your attention, please, and just whatever you're going to do, management. If you have kids that are talking or kids that are not staying word, what are some techniques or things that you're going to do to make sure your lesson is smooth? You can just bullet these. It doesn't have to be a paragraph thing, okay? Cross-curricular connection. How could you get your lesson to connect to another content area? If you're a math teacher and you're doing something on triangles, you could say, oh my gosh, in an art class, they could do some sort of art thing with triangles. Or if you're a biology student teacher or something, you could say, oh gosh, in a reading book, they could do some nonfiction studies or write a report on particular animals. However you want to do that. And then on this one, what are some things you want me to observe that you want me to check out while you're reading? Do you speak clear enough? Are you going too fast? Are you, like, I talk really fast. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. Do I say too many times? Which I just said. Am I fidgety? Am I giving questions that are more than just simple where they could just give me a simple response? Am I putting those higher level questions? How am I good with managing or building relationships with my students? So those, you could put a couple different things. If there's one or two that you really need me to focus on, I don't need a list of like 10 things, just put a couple things there. It can be changed each time. This is where you will put what the standards are, the Common Core standard, and then what will the students be able to do at the end of the lesson. These are kind of those I can statements, if you've heard of those before. The students will be able to add 2-digit add-ins with caring or something like that, whatever your lesson is. How are you going to know what they learned? So how will you know? What are some of the assessment approaches? Are you going to do exit tickets, or are they going to have some certain questions, whatever? How are you going to know that they understand what they were learning? What materials, resources, technology, supplies? You guys will be more using, probably not the supply part, but the technology and resource material part. So just list whatever you need to do your lesson. Is there any vocabulary, especially if you're math, science, social studies, even English? There could be, like a predicate, what's the definition of a predicate? Now, the anticipatory set. What is going to get the kids excited or hook them, create interest? Don't just do like, okay, I'm going to say, can I have your attention, please? And do some Kahoot. If the Kahoot doesn't have anything to do with the lesson. You want to, whatever you're teaching that day, you want to think, if you were a kid, what would you have to do to be able to be really interested in, hey, I want to pay attention to today's lesson. It could be a little video. It could be an experiment that you do or something that you show them. It could be reading a short little paragraph about something to hook their interest. And then on this part, what will you say to the students about what they will learn, and tell them why it's important? Because I can think of the number of times you had a teacher try to teach you something, and in your head, you're like, why do I have to learn this? That's a good question. Tell them why they should learn it. How is it going to help them in the future or future lessons? I mean, I know with fractions, the kids hated fractions. And I'd say, well, fractions are important for when you're doing cooking or you're doing something else. If multiplying, like, oh, I have a calculator, multiply. Well, you know what? Knowing your multiplication facts is going to be, when you get to fractions, it's going to make it so much easier knowing those basic facts. So just make sure you're telling them about what they learn and why it's important. There was one thing. Oh, wait, where did that go? It's not in this part. Okay, Michaela and Mitchell. There was one where it said the thing about measurable. I think it's in this, isn't it?
I would usually put it under assessment approaches during mine.
But I remember it being in the actual lesson plan, so I don't know if I have an old one, but make sure.
It was never on mine, but on TaskStream, whenever you would grade it, there was always a section for it there, but on my lesson plan form itself, it was never there. So
it was never on there. Okay, I swear I saw it on some of yours. So guys, just make sure you make note somewhere in your assessments or even your learning objective or somewhere around here, or even at the very, very bottom, closure check for understanding. Make sure that you are putting down a measurable goal. Like, I will know that the students are learning this if 80% of the class, or if they get 80% on this, or if they get 7 out of 10 correct or something. You need to have a measurable goal. And I'm telling you that because when I show you the rubric that I grade, that is one of the things that I have to check off. You have to have a measurable goal. So I'm going to search around for the other lesson plan because I swear the one of them that I had has that measurable goal written in here. So I will send that one to you guys when I find it. Other than that, I'm going to see if I can edit and add it in here. Okay. All right. So then let's see that here is an area where you would put like, what are some great questions or prompts that you can ask them, especially getting them to that higher level of thinking. And then down here, this is basically going to be your step-by-step lesson. It does not have to be scripted. It could be bulleted however you want. It could be numbered 1, 2, 3. Make sure you include your timing. The thing that happens a lot, you'll have this incredible lesson plan done and you get to where you're doing all your modeling. And let's say that you have 45 minutes for class and you do all your beginning stuff. And then you get to maybe a little bit of the guided work of where you're getting your students involved. And then you'll realize the bell is going to ring or class is over and you didn't get to things. So having a specific time, like, okay, so the very beginning is my anticipatory thing. I'm going to ask the kids this. It's going to take about 2 minutes. So just general time, or this could take 5 to 10 minutes. So if you, with your guided practice, same thing. This is what we're going to do as together. So the you do, this is what you are going to do. Guided practice, this is what you're going to do together. So practicing things together. And then once they have that, the I do is what this, I think it should say I do, we do, you do. So, but CMU has it backwards and that's okay. So this is what the students are going to do independently on their own. And then at the very end of the class, before they leave, how are you going to check for understanding? Is there going to be an exit ticket? Are you going to say, hey, we're going to continue this lesson tomorrow, but make sure that you, so you just have to make sure you have some kind of closure in checking for understanding and letting them know what is going to happen next. So that is your lesson plan. Your first ones, if you haven't done them before, might be a little rough, but that's okay. As time goes on, you're not necessarily graded with me, which I'll show you that stuff in a second, which I'm going to show you right now, actually. This is basically the planning preparation. When I go to do Go React, you're going to basically be all your plans and how you get ready. Are you either on your subject matter? Are you distinguished? Are you proficient? Are you basic? Or is it unsatisfactory? Your lesson planning, your learning outcomes, your instructional design for meeting the learning outcomes, and designing assessments. Now, all of this, I'm going to tell you at this point, you guys will not be getting distinguished. You're just starting out. You may have an unsatisfactory at something, but you're mostly going to be in this basic proficient throughout the majority of the semester. Okay, maybe your management, which is the classroom environment. Let's say that you just are really building great rapport with the kids. They are really getting involved, and I could just tell that the kids care about it. They're respectful. You may get some of these distinguished things earlier on. So you have managing positive regard for students, managing behavior. And then the last domain is your actual, this is when you're instructing. This is where, when I'm watching, I'm going to be scoring, like, did you state your learning goals and directions? Did you tell them what the procedures are? Even classroom management procedures. Remember that we need to sit still, we need to pay attention, however many times you have to repeat it, but you should always kind of make sure you're stating that at the beginning. What kind of learning experience did you give the kids? Did you talk about academic language? Did you bring up those words? What was your questioning like? Was it pretty basic? Or did you get those kids thinking higher? Did you get the kids engaged? And this is a really tough one right now. And I will say it to you constantly. What can be something more that you can do to get those kids engaged? What was your formative assessment? Did I notice that you were asking questions a lot? Did I notice you were, I mean, I know that there's all these, there's Pear Deck. What was the other one, Mitchell, that people were using? There's Pear Deck and
I don't know why I can't remember the name now, but it's Nearpod.
Nearpod. And I'm sure I know the, I actually have a student teacher in Minnesota, which is funny. And I was talking to that teacher and she was this morning and she said that she just started using Nearpod. And it's those, if you're secondary, even upper L, those are great ways where you can put some questions up and the kids respond and you get their answers right away. And they can either be a multiple choice or it could be something that they write out. Those are some great virtual things to do. Were you flexible? If something wasn't going right, did you keep going and struggle, or did you go, okay, this isn't going right? How about if we go back and redo this part of it to make, how, it's like your responsiveness. If somebody asks a question that kind of took you like to a whole nother area, how did you respond to that? And then your resources that you use. So then at the very end, I'm going to tell you, like what was some things that you did really well. Did you, like, if I had given you, like, if let's say that this is your second, your third one, and I told you to work on engaging students, and I might say, great job for working on that engagement for students, whatever. Open-ended questions of ways that you can improve and just some action steps of what you can do for the future. This is what I am going to be scoring and go react on all your observations. Your mid-eval and your final eval have all of these things, but there is one more domain and it's like the professionalism domain. So I'm going to send you guys a copy of this too, just so you can see what I'm going to be looking for each time. It's pretty helpful. Let's see. All right, attendance. If you're ever absent, you need to fill out this form, tell the reason, and you need to just make sure you send it to me electronically. Okay, for whatever reason. Unless it's for like I know like I'm looking at the calendar, 13th or 14th, you guys, depending on your seminar day, you guys have to take the whole day off. You don't have to fill out this for that, okay? Because that's the virtual teacher conference. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if we have to get like quarantined, or like if someone in our class has COVID and our whole class is quarantined or something, do we have to still fill that out?
If you're still teaching, like because then you're at home and you're teaching, then you don't have to, no, unless you're sick and you can't participate. If you have a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment, you need to fill that out. And I think you're only allowed 3 absences.
Okay.
I think it's 3, it might even be 2, but just be careful. And I know with COVID, with things happen, then CMU will work with you on that. All right. Substitute teaching, as I said, this is what the form is. You'll have to do all the things to get it, but this is the form that you have to have your principal, cooperating teacher, myself, you sign it as well, and then you just send me an electronic copy of it if you want to sub, okay? That has to be turned in because I turn those into CMU. Under steering wheel. This is what your teachers are going to get. Obviously, it's going to say spring 2021. They just kind of get some things about what you guys have to do. There's the whole phase thing, and I think I'm good with that. I don't need to share anything on that one. This one, okay, with you guys, especially if you are at home or even if you have to go into school and you're virtual, you still need to look professional. Even if you're wearing pajama bottoms, but you got to have the top half looking professional, okay? Make sure that you don't have lots of stains on your shirt or wrinkles or holes. Just think about you going into a classroom. What would you want to look at? Don't have like a baseball hat on because you have bedhead or something like that. Just look very professional and presentable. Make sure like all your communications is done professionally with correct grammar and spelling. I can't tell you that even the lesson plans, check your spelling, check your grammar. It's really important because if you have to turn those into a principal, let's say your principal or your host teacher says, hey, I need to have a copy of what your lesson plan is for the day, and you have misspellings and stuff, you don't want that at all. You want to look, if I know spell check is pretty much in almost anything that you have to type out. Also, address the host teacher like Mr., Ms., Mrs., however they are, however they have, you don't call them by. And I do know, like Mitchell, what did your students call Nick Simon? Or did they say Mr. Simon?
They call them, Simon, Coach Simon, Mr.
Okay.
Not really Mr. Simon ever. No, never really Mr. Simon.
Okay, so even though your host teacher is comfortable doing that, you still call them like Mr. Simon, because I know Mitchell's teacher was a coach, and all that he's kind of got this like laid back kind of persona, and but still you want to make sure, and you don't have them call you by your first name. You have them call you however, Mr., Ms., whatever you are, Mrs. if you're married or what, however. So they need to say, they're not going to call you by your first names, even if it's high school. Let's see. Honorific and last name. Students will call you by, that's what it's talking about. And then just talk about your CTs that way. Ethical conduct. Don't share all your personal life with your students, because they're going to see you more as a peer than a teacher. Don't like, oh yeah, I'm having, trouble with my girlfriend today and whatever. You don't want to share all that stuff. So, because that, as I said, it's good. It'll be totally different with them. Confidentiality is super important. Basically, if there's something going on within your classroom, it stays within your classroom. You don't go telling other people about it, because there are certain laws, and you can get, it's a breach of professional ethics. You could get in trouble if you're sharing, especially something that happened in your classroom about somebody. You could get into trouble down the road with that. So be really, really careful. Don't communicate with the kids through social media. Speaking of social media, make sure that your social media, if they go searching for you, you don't have anything that you would be embarrassed about. When school districts start looking to hire you, they look through social media. So you might want to, if you have some things you're like, maybe I need to take those pictures off, or those comments off, you may want to start cleaning those things out right now. And also, like, I know right now you're just going to be using your CMU email, but when the time comes, you're going to, and actually Erica will talk to you guys about this at the next meeting. Make sure that if you have your email, it's not like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of really set. Okay, I like opossums because I work with them. I know Mitchell and Michaela know that, but I wouldn't say like opossum lady. I work at a wildlife rehab place for those people that don't know me. And I take opossums into classrooms to teach about them. But I'm not going to call myself the opossum lady at gmail.com. It's just not very professional. Let's see. Only use assigned platform for your virtual teaching and collaboration with your teacher. And that just talks about your social media stuff. Be punctual. If on either the 13th or 14th, whichever your seminar day is, I would let your host teachers know early sometime next week that you are not going to be in class that day. You're doing the CMU thing all virtually too, but you will not be doing anything with your class that day because you'll have some different things to like workshops to go to, and then your seminar will be at the very end. So just make sure that you let them know in advance. Let's see. Make sure you're maintaining eye contact with the camera while you're speaking, and your workspace is neat. I don't know if you can see mine. Make sure you just don't have like goofy posters in the background, and also have all your stuff ready to go, and do not have your cell phones or other tech things where they can tell if you're texting while you're supposed to be teaching. Keep things on silent too. And this is just about COVID stuff. So, all right. I'm trying to think of anything else. Nope, that's it. So I'm trying to think if I got everything. I think so. So do you guys have here? I'm going to undo share. Let's see if I can get back to this. And how do I end my share? Oh, there we go. Okay, am I back? Yep. Okay, so do you guys have any questions before you take off running on Monday after the new year? Mitchell, Michaela, I know you guys know what's going on. Everybody else is all set. You feel comfortable going and starting with your teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody good. All right. And just so you know, and I know Michaela and Mitchell know this, and I just keep saying that because they were with me all last semester. I am here for you if you need me. If you need a pep talk, if you're stressed about stuff, do not go to your host teacher saying, I'm so stressed, and because you're just going to add stress to them. If it's something that if you have a question for them, you need to ask them, you obviously have to talk to them about. But if you're stressed about some other stuff, like I know, especially when you guys had all this stuff to do for seminar, if you need me to talk you through some things, I don't know really what they do with you in there, but I'm here to, if you need a little extra time on something, or if something's going on within your classroom and you just like, I'm not sure, how do I handle this, whatever. Anytime you have a question, if you are like really excited about how a lesson went and you want to call, just send me a message and share it with me. I would love it. Okay. So I am here. I kind of shut my phone off, like turn the mute on at night so I don't get woken up a gazillion times, because I have had messages come like 11:30 at night. So, and I'm just getting ready to go to sleep. So it won't be instantaneous sometimes. If I'm available to speak to you, I'll speak to you. Other than that, just be patient and I will get back with you. But I am here for you guys. It's a weird time, but it's going to be amazing. And you guys will gain so much virtual experience that in the future, because who knows where, after all this, who knows, there might, something like this could continue even if students do go back, because let's say if there's a lot of times you'll have a student that might be out sick for a little bit, they can join class online now. And, so you'll have all the experience of different things to do. So take in everything that you can take in. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. All right. I will send all the, that's one thing I was going to see really quick. There's I'm going to share screen really quick again. I want to see if you guys can see this. I think this is it. All right, on the chat, this is where we're at right now. But do you guys have a thing that says Teams? So if I click on that.
Wait, we can't. Oh, wait, no, I can see it. Never mind.
Can you see it? like
Yeah.
underneath the chat, there's something that's called Teams, and it's Spring 2021. Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay, that, by the way, is Wishbone. Here's a baby beaver that we had at Wildside. So on this, I have some files like class materials. And if you click on that, I have some of those things like here's questions for Bloom's questions to get you to higher levels. There's that. There's the lesson plan formats, substitute teaching thing. If you want to do the know your school, the attendance form, the resume example. So when we get into talking about resumes, I'll be adding more things to here, cover letters, references, resume examples. So whenever I, instead of sending it to you guys as I can send an email saying, hey, I put some more things into our team spring 2020 thing. That's where you guys can pick and click on any of those. All right. Does that, so they're all right there from whenever you need them. And also, if there's something that you guys find that's really helpful, we can also add that and make another folder and add that as well. Okay. So I'm going back to that. And I'm ending that. Okay, cool. All right. So I guess that's it. Anything else? Well, the thing that you say to the kids all the time is I'll see you next year, right? So you guys have a great new year. Stay safe, whatever you do. And have fun on Monday. All right. It's going to be amazing. All right. And just, as I said, if you want to say again.
I just said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Julia. All right. You guys, thank you, Mitchell, for recording. I appreciate that. And I don't know is that something that has to be sent to me? Can you send that to me somehow?
I can look into it. I don't know if it just saves right into the chat or what, but yeah, I'll look into it. I'll figure it.
Thank you. Don't stress out too much on. If you can't figure it out, I'll Google it. Okay.
Okay, no big deal.
All right. Thank you so much, though. All right, guys, you have a good night and enjoy the rest of your week and have a happy new year.
Thank you. You too.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.